Before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a case that was actually requested by one of my Patreons. Before I get into telling you guys this story, I just want some of y'all to maybe think back. Do you ever have those memories where you've just like done something silly, or you thought you were getting away with something and maybe you told your parents something and you look back at it as you get older and you go, how ridiculous that was. Like it was so obvious that I was into something I wasn't supposed to be into. Keep that in mind as we get into this video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the case of Julia Enright. But before we get into it though, if you guys don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We do things more casually over there. It's more laid back. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon is for 18 and up. Over there, we talk about more personal story times. We go live over there. And I also have a $2 tier over there where all of the true crime stuff that can't go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies, that goes over on my Patreon. I also have an Instagram, a Snapchat, and a Facebook, and those are always linked down in the description box if you'd like to come and check me out. So there's not a whole lot of backstory that we can find out about this case, and the judge refused to let cameras in the courtroom, which, oh, I wish I could have seen the testimonies in this case, but I was able to look up and read a lot of what was said, and so we're going to do a video on this. So back in 2018, Julia Enright, who was 21 years old, was living in Ashburn, Massachusetts, and working as a phlebotomist at a clinical laboratory. Julia grew up on a 30-acre farm. She was dealing with the cows and the chickens and doing farm work and, dragging hay and just really working hard at a young age. I actually heard her in an interview say that a lot of people would think that it was wonderful working on a farm, but to her, it was really hard work. Julia described herself as a loner, somebody that just kind of stuck to herself most of the time. And she also said that she had never really been in any trouble in her life. And as a matter of fact, nobody in her family had ever been arrested or in any kind of trouble. She also described her upbringing and her parents as more of lower class. The way she made it seem was like maybe her family didn't have a lot of money and they were just a simple family. As Julia got older, she went to a vocational high school, and this is where she would meet a boy while riding the bus who was almost 2 years younger than her, named Brandon Chicklis. Brandon, by all means, was a great kid. He was so loved by his family. He was a Boy Scout almost all of his life. He was described as kind and thoughtful, and he was also known for being quirky and having a goofy laugh. Julia and Brandon bonded over being outsiders. Julia would invite Brandon over to her house, and there was a neighbor that had this treehouse outside, and before you know it, the two were going into the treehouse to have relations together. I guess the neighbors didn't use this treehouse very much because it is even said that Julia eventually set up restraints in this treehouse and was doing all kind of wild stuff in this treehouse. Now they had dated and had this relationship for quite a while, but by 2018, the two of them had been long broke up. Brandon was 20 and she was 21. She had another boyfriend and he had another girlfriend, but they still remained friends and would text each other every once in a while. Julia was dating a young man named Jonathan Lind. Brandon had found this new girlfriend, and I saw some reports saying that they actually were living together, and he was working as a heating technician and had plans to run his own business one day. Now back to Julia and working as a phlebotomist. This meant that Julia was not scared of blood. She was around it every day, and somewhere along the way, I'm not sure if it was before she got into this profession or during, she became weirdly obsessed with this bodily fluid. She became so obsessed that she even brought her job into her own private life and then into her own intimate private life. This was becoming such an obsession that it was truly getting out of hand with her. And this part that I'm about to tell you guys reminds me of Jeffrey D. She started going around and picking up dead animal carcasses from the side of the road and like saving their bones, and she would make different types of art and jewelry out of these bones. She had a ton of bones too. She would also keep animals in jars and called them wet specimens. And she also had tons of vials of blood in her house. Now, Julia, at 21 years old, would work her day job as a phlebotomist in the day, and then in the evenings, she was into BDSM and became a dominatrix. And I'm talking about by profession because she had business cards and everything. Julia advertised herself as Mistress Jasmine, and she would even go on to admit to providing blood play as well. Now, on June 24th of 2018, Brandon, Julia's ex-boyfriend, was reported missing by his family. He had told his family that he was leaving to go visit his father the day before, but he never showed up. He had been looking forward to turning 21, and his disappearance was very out of character.
To go out for a while that night and just have some dinner and talk and catch up on things.
And how did he sound when you talked to him?
He was perfectly fine the week before. Yep, everything was fine. Wasn't a troublemaker. He didn't do anything that was bad.
Brandon's family knew that they could always depend on him. If he said he was going to show up at his dad's house or his grandma's house or his cousin's house, they expected him to be there. So when he didn't show up, he was supposed to show up on a Saturday. His father would go on to say that the next Sunday, when it got into the evening, he realized like, hey, I have not heard from Brandon. I've tried to call his phone. Where is he at? And so they went on to report him missing, and they were very concerned. A week later, Brandon's car was found abandoned in a store parking lot. And then a week after that, a jogger was jogging down the road when they came across a body. There was a body that was dumped on the side of the highway in Rindage, New Hampshire, a town just across from the state line of Massachusetts. After further investigation, it was found that it was indeed Brandon. Brandon's body had been stabbed a dozen times. He had been wrapped in a tarp, a sheet, then put into 2 garbage bags, then that was duct tied. Whoever put his body in this situation not only intended to end his life, but also intended on it not having any kind of smell or hopefully even being found. It was even said that his body was very badly decomposed. Investigators got to work immediately, and this is when they started to look into Brandon's phone records. And what do you know? On the day that he went missing, he was having phone conversations between him and his ex-girlfriend, Julia. Investigators had even found that Julia invited Brandon over and made him promise to keep their meeting a secret. So the police went to her home, and when they went to her home, her father said that they could come on in and search and look around. He was just, he felt like he didn't have anything to hide. She didn't have anything to hide. But did she? When they got into looking into her room and her stuff, you guys, not only did they find all those vials of blood that we were talking about and all the animal bones, but they found a bucket full of animal organs. They found a bunch of used condoms, like she was collecting them, like disgusting. And they also found several knives. The officers, when they were searching the whole perimeter of the property, came across the treehouse. When they were searching the treehouse, they found blood. It was on the stairs, inside the structure, and under it. Later, after testing, it was found to be Brandon's blood. So then the investigators began to question Julia. And at first she said she hadn't seen him. She has no idea. Now, mind you guys, they're questioning her, but they're not telling her everything they found. They're just questioning her like it's nothing. And she's like, nope, I haven't seen him. I don't know what's going on. Then as they began to question her further, this is when Julia told the police that she had seen him, but that he had left. He had a wad of cash and he was going to buy substances and that she hadn't seen him since. This is when the officers informed Julia that Brandon had passed away. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that he had died." Then she went on to insist to the officers that even though she lied the first time, saying that she hadn't seen him at all, that this time this was the real story about him showing up with a wad of cash to go meet his dealer, and she hadn't heard from him since then, that this was the real story. However, Julia was taken in for further questioning, and Julia was interrogated for hours. She would go on to admit that she made out with him in his car, but nothing else happened. She even offered to show detectives Facebook messages between her and Brandon, but Julia seemed shocked when the officers asked if they could look into her cell phone and recover any deleted text messages that she had. This is when she was like, "Wait a minute, y'all can do that?" And they're like, "Well, we do have a software that can do that." And she said, "Yeah, sure. You can look in my phone, but tomorrow, I'll come back tomorrow." This is when the investigators were like, "Listen, you can leave here with your phone, but if that phone gets lost or something like that, it's going to look like you did this." And for whatever reason, I don't know what they said to her that made her give her phone over, but she did. And this is when they recovered the deleted conversations between her and Brandon. The officers were able to uncover the fact that not only did she talk Brandon into coming over, but she repeatedly told him, "Don't tell anyone. This is a secret. I got a surprise for you. Meet me at the tree house," just like they had before when they were teenagers. Now, when the officers asked her about this, she said the reason why she invited him over and into the tree house was because she didn't want his girlfriend to find out. Well, the officers then said to her, "How would his girlfriend find out? You're on a 30-acre lot here. Like, it's not like anybody can see you." And she said, "Well, I wanted some privacy with him." And then she said, "Well, I don't actually have a bedroom door. All I have is a sheet over my door frame. So I invited him to come to the treehouse because of that." But that's not the only text messages that they found in Julia's phone. They found that within moments of her inviting Brandon over to meet her in the treehouse, she texted her boyfriend and asked him, "Do you think we could add bubbles to the bloodbath?" It seemed like it all added up for the cops, but at this point, they're not understanding a motive. Why would this young girl invite this ex-boyfriend over? She's got a boyfriend. She's seemingly got a good career and a side job. Why would she invite him over to hurt him? This is when the cops realized that in their possession from searching her home, they had found her journal. Okay. And this is like, people really do this. In Julia's journal, she had written, "It was a form of a present. I did it just for him. That was my intention." She had also wrote in her journal that her boyfriend may not have liked her surprise. This made the police think that Julia may have done this to Brandon as a sick gift to her new boyfriend. Investigators also found other disturbing entries in her journal, like, "I daydream about it constantly." And she also wrote, "I just have this insatiable curiosity to kill a person." There was also different Facebook posts that she made that were kind of bizarre, especially now in this position. And one that she made on March 13th of 2017, where she shared a post that said, "I want to live my life like a bear, eat when I want, sleep when I want, kill people in the woods when I want." And I also want to know who these people are that liked and loved this. Like, I don't know. Do y'all read the stuff y'all like and love? Is that really what some people want to do? That seems weird to me. But anyways, she shared that. So 2 weeks after Brandon's body was found, Julia was charged with first-degree murder. Her trial started in November of 2021, and the prosecution said that Julia enticed Brandon to the treehouse and then stabbed him to death as a surprise for her new boyfriend. It even came out that she had tried multiple times to get him over there to basically do that before he finally caved and said yes. And this is when the prosecution said that she literally lured him. I mean, they had text messages and all kind of messages where she was just doing everything she could to get him to come over there. It even came out in court that before Brandon arrived to the treehouse, she covered the floor of the treehouse with a tarp and a blanket. And they even have Julia on the security camera at a hardware store purchasing things like rope and chains. She literally planned this out. So she went from The animal thing, just kind of like Jeffrey D, but this is a female, and she went from the obsession of the blood to the next thing, to the animals, to the organs, to them finding a bucket full of used condoms. Oh my gosh. Horrifying. One witness even testified that Julia would try to speed up the decomposition process with the animals by wrapping them in tarps. And it also came out in court that after Julia stabbed Brandon, she went out for sushi with her boyfriend like it was nothing. And she also sent him text messages while she was with her boyfriend, out eating, asking him where he was and why he didn't show up, basically trying to cover her tracks in case they ever did look at text messages. I guess she wasn't thinking then that they could recover all the deleted ones, but nevertheless, it came up in court to show that she was trying to get out of it. Now, the defense, her side had a totally different story by this time. So she done told many different stories, but when she came in to defend herself, she had a whole new story. And this story was that she had invited Brandon over and that her and her current boyfriend had an open relationship so she could do whatever she wanted to anyways, but that her and Brandon were in the middle of getting down and her boyfriend texted her and she decided she didn't want to do it with Brandon anymore, and so therefore Brandon forced himself upon her, and she had a knife that was attached to her side or in her pocket and she pulled it out. And that's when she stabbed him. Julia even took the stand in her defense, and she got up there and cried and cried and cried. And the prosecution and Brandon's family were shocked because this was the first time that they had ever heard this story. And even to the point that she gets up there and cries and says that Brandon was trying to rape her. I mean, and the family and the prosecution is like, what? They had never even heard this story before. But get this, Julia's boyfriend, Jonathan, invoked his Fifth Amendment right when he took the stand in Julia's trial and said that he would only answer questions about his work and school background. Prosecutors allege that Jonathan purchased carpeting several days after the murder in an attempt to cover up traces of blood in the treehouse. Jonathan claims that he bought that carpeting to replace the treehouse because he had an accident. And what kind of accident did he have? Well, he said that him and Julia was getting down and he defecated all over it. I don't know what kind of mess these people are into. Listen. If you're a consenting adult, y'all do what y'all want to do, but holy moly, they're in there just dropping loads in this neighbor's treehouse, murdering people, tying them up, chaining them up, like, what in the world? Julia ended up being found guilty of second-degree murder, which I wish I could watch the trial to find out why they, gave her second degree. I still think she should have got first degree, but I wasn't in the trial and there were no cameras allowed. She ended up getting the max sentence, although she did apologize to the family and say she was really sorry and all of that stuff, but the family just felt like she was doing that because she was hoping to get a lighter sentence. However, it did not work, because she got the max for what she could get for that, which was life in prison, but the possibility of parole in 25 years. Of course, Brandon's family were absolutely destroyed. His mother even gave a statement saying that every day when I drive to work, I get to choose. Do I drive by where she dumped my son's body today, or do I drive by where she dumped his car? What I would give for one more moment with my son, just one more moment. Brandon's dad, Paul, said Julia was a demon who had befriended Brandon and visited his family home before turning on him. He added that his son's last moments will haunt him, and other loved ones begged for the harshest sentence possible. Julia's boyfriend ended up being charged for being an accomplice because guess what? Come to find out, he helped her move the body. So not only was that whole carpet situation, but he helped her move the body and all of that stuff. And he is still waiting to have his day in court too. So I don't know. Now, I watched this video that's here on YouTube, and I'll have it linked down in the description box, where they went into the jail and did like these interviews with different inmates, and she's in it. She's more towards the end of this video.
It's kind of a tricky question. You can answer it however you want. It says, why are you in jail? Like I said, I don't,
A grand misunderstanding.
Okay.
They think I killed my friend. So, murder.
She told the cameras that she was basically in there for a misunderstanding, like manipulative, a liar, scary, dangerous. Okay, I don't know. What are my opinions on this? I I think that she deserves whatever the family thinks is appropriate. This wasn't an accident. It was planned. I still don't understand how she didn't get first degree. It's disgusting. All of it is horrifying. I think the boyfriend needs to get in trouble too, because I can't believe that he would help somebody move a body. Like, okay, if y'all want to boo-boo on y'allselves and smear it all over the place and, you know, play an animal, whatever, and take bones and just suck on them for all I care, whatever, you know, go pick up dead carcasses. Oh, and it also came out that she said that she was grave digging. She was literally going to graves. This is what she said, and digging up to get bones. Anyways, if he wants to be involved in all that with her, fine. But to literally try to help her cover up a murder, like, no, you're in trouble. He needs some time too. That's my opinion. And he evoked his Fifth Amendment right, which means that he got on the stand and refused to testify against her. So I think he needs to be held accountable. It's not like he was scared for his life or anything. You know, he was trying to take up for his girl. Well, guess what? Y'all both need to be in orange. That's how I feel about it. And Brandon's poor family. I mean, he was literally lured there. This was an old friend from high school, girlfriend, somebody that was probably his first. He probably always had some sort of feelings for. And she's begging him to come over. I've got a surprise for you. I want to show you something. I want to show you something. And he finally goes when he's on his way to visit his family. And then this happened. And she was planning it the whole time. Disgusting. Horrifying. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, I will see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all so much for being here. And I'll see you guys soon. Love you guys. Bye.